All right. Hey, it's Acoustic Stevo, the Human Patriot, coming to you from the universe. Join me on my journey. Let's have some fun. All right. I'm going to start live streaming on this channel, Human Patriot, and we're going to be talking about mostly anarchy and what that actually means because I think people don't really understand what it means. So I would love to explore the topic with everyone and maybe open some people's eyes at least on what it actually means before they just close their mind to what it actually is. It does not mean no laws because the universe has laws. We're all governed by the universe's laws. They're called natural law. So, what I'm really discussing is natural law anarchy because there are a lot of different things out there when it comes to anarchy and a lot of different viewpoints. And there's a guy on the internet. His name is Mark Passio, and he has a website called What on Earth is Happening. And he does a great job of explaining natural law and anarchy. And I would say you should definitely go and check out his website. But going forward, I'm just going to be popping on from time to time, going live, talking about a number of different topics concerning natural law and anarchy. And the one I chose for tonight is swatting wrong? All right. Now I'm going to pull up the chat. I don't know if anyone's in here. It says I have no chat history. I don't know if I have any viewers. Hello if I do. If not, hello future viewers. Forgive me, I have a little bit of indigestion because I just ate. And yeah, sometimes that happens. You eat and it's just kind of gives you like these bubbles. But anyways, the reason why I'm making this video and why I chose this topic is last night, I'm involved in some YouTube communities of people that just kind of go out and go to each other's channels and get to know each other, and they use apps like StreamYards to have panels, and it's just a bunch of people on YouTube kind of getting to know each other. And one of these channels I found my way to last night is a homesteading channel, and I'm not going to mention it not because of any other reason, but I just subscribed to them last night and I don't really remember the name of the channel. But what was going on with the channel is what spurred me to come on here tonight and do my very first, live stream about anarchy with this particular topic of swatting. And I'm hoping that I get some people on here and some chat remarks because that would make this a lot better as far as the interaction goes. And I view what I would like to do on this channel with these is interact with people and at some point even have people guest on to the live streams. I may use StreamYards to do that here in the future or something similar. But let's get into this, okay? Do I, as an anarchist, first let me describe a little bit more about anarchy before you just totally want to shut this off and not listen. It, like I said, it does not mean no rules. It simply means no rulers. It's in the word itself. Anarchy means no external rulers. Basically, you rule yourself. It's that simple. Everybody rules themselves. We have nobody else that's human, nobody else that's a being that's in our 3D reality that has any say over our lives. And that is what true morality and true freedom is. And you see, we've been talked out of being free beings from the time we were very small. We were told why it won't work, why it's not practical. But these things are, it's been called common sense, but these things are just constructs. They detract from the human potential, and they have us feeding our young lies about the human potential. Because, one of the biggest things that they want you to believe is that people are evil. And we need these laws and these cops and these things to protect us from evil, right? But in actuality, the human being is much like a computer. And although there are some people that are born with some psychopathy or things that do make them kind of go bonkers and become, people that are a threat to others, if people were born and raised according to the true morality of the universe and the natural laws that I'm going to be talking about were espoused to our young from the time they're very young, instead of all the BS stuff that we were trying to feed them and get them to believe, we wouldn't have the issues that we have, and it would be very apparent to us that we do not need rulers, because we are our own rulers. We have an internal monarchy inside of ourselves. And I'm going to get into this probably more towards the end of the video, because I am going to talk about swatting. But I did want to start it like that. There are some principles of natural law. I'm not going to get into all of them, especially tonight, but I will be breaking them down probably individually over the next few weeks when I come on here live. And, those natural laws are the only things that we need to adhere to. And it's funny because the adherence is only because it's woven into the fabric of the universe itself. They're not constructs of human minds. They are things that are inevitable and will always happen because they are a part of what this reality is. And the best way to put it for me with the anarchy part of this is something Mark Passio says. It all comes down to one thing: don't steal, right? You could steal a number of different things, but if we can all understand don't steal, which is don't steal property, don't trespass into someone's sacred space that they've set up for themselves. We're all allowed to have our own domain, so don't trespass and steal somebody's security. Don't steal life, which is murder. Don't steal innocence, or somebody's sexuality. They kind of go hand in hand sometimes. Don't steal the truth, which is lying, right? And we lie for all kinds of reasons. It's kind of a part of being a human being at this point. It's like, if something in your external reality butts up against what you're trying to do, and that you're right, and if you tell the truth, it's going to cause you issues, guess what? You're going to lie. You're going to say whatever it takes, or at least a lot of us do. Now, I try not to. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I screw up, but I really, really try not to, and I hope you do too. Because what it does when you don't lie is it makes people face reality. Because if you're stealing the truth from them, you're stealing the reality of the situation. Like, for instance, if you're employed by someone who wants you to give them an answer on a question they ask you, and instead you give them the truth, that could affect your status as an employee, or how they view you, maybe your potential to grow in the company, things like this. So instead, a lot of people just kind of BS and give the answers they know that their employers want to hear. But this just doesn't work. I mean, in the long run, it doesn't work, because people are going to end up either showing that they've been lying by their actions, or they're going to do something that's not in line with the truth, whatever that is. So you could steal the truth. You can steal, you know, basically someone's security as a person, as their own authority. And that's what a lot of the times we do with man's law. Actually, most of the time we do that with man's law because it's not in line with natural law and it changes from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. You see, in natural law, it never changes because it's woven into the fabric of the universe. Man's law, on the other hand, it is just here, there, and everywhere. It all depends on your masters and what they decide is right for you. And you see, we excuse it because we've come up with these processes that these laws come into existence. And we pat ourselves on our backs and say, okay, these processes, they're the best processes. They, like democracy for one, legislative, executive, and judicial branches. When you're born into America, you're going to really be hardcore brainwashed with why our system of government is the best, the better of all evils, so to speak. Because this country was founded on pretty much a bunch of people standing up to the authorities of their time. And those people that did that, if they came here and they saw what we have done with the place, so to speak, we've done a lot of good things, but as far as freedom goes, not so much. Not so much freedom for the individual, for the citizen. Citizen, that's kind of a funny word if you ask me. For the people that live in this country that share a bond of being kinsmen, country, our own people, our own nation, whatever. But, the whole world is really your nation. If we were to expand our minds a little bit, I interact with people all over the world, and they're all the same. People are all the same. They all want the same thing. They want to incarnate into this existence, live a good life, find love, find things that make them happy, find their own special talents and things they can contribute. And a lot of times the crap in the world messes all that up for them, And that's a sad, sad thing. And I want to be here just to kind of help people find redemption, because it's possible at any point in time. You can go down pretty deep into the depths of darkness, and if you emerge, you can come out and be a transformative individual, not only for yourself in your own life, but for others. But you got to start with yourself, and it's called shadow work, okay? So in this shadow work, I'm going to go ahead and put the chat on another way, because I'm not 100% convinced that no one's in here, but we'll see. All right. So that's on, hopefully. If somebody does stop in here, go ahead and say hi, because I'd like to talk to you. What shadow work is, it's when you look in yourself and you explore, right? You go into your past and your present, and you look at the things that you've done and you're doing, and you ask yourself, am I being moral? Do I have integrity? Where have I done wrong? Can I do better? Do I need to make things better for the things that I've done wrong? Is there restitution? Are there things required of me to get out of this dark place? Because you're only going to know those things if you're willing to go into that dark place and take a good hard look. And I mean a good hard look. And that's rough sometimes, A lot of times, especially when we've been programmed by the society that we live in, man, that's real rough. Because we all end up doing some pretty heinous things, and we have to cop to that. So I'm going to get back to swatting now, okay? Swatting, that didn't exist 100 years ago. People wouldn't have known what that is, just like they wouldn't have known what a helicopter is. They'd be like, swatting? What is a SWAT? Is that like you go and grab a bunch of newspapers? Because I don't even know if they made fly swatters back then. They probably did. But what is swatting? You go around swatting people on their tush? And go swatting? No. People didn't know what that was because it wasn't supposed to exist. And that's my point. No, swatting's not right because you're violating somebody, right? It's obvious you're violating somebody, but you gotta look deeper, and that's where I have the problem because people stop there. They stop there, and they have no problem stopping there. And so I went into the channel. Great, awesome people. Didn't surprise me it went down like this, but they had a phone number for you to call in, right? And I decided I wanted to. I wanted to address the fact that everybody was looking over the whole thing that really is the thing that has to be addressed, right? Because they're all talking about you need to do this if you're going to be swatted, you need to be careful, but they're not talking about the fact that swatting occurs to begin with. And that's what I want to talk about. Swatting is wrong, yes. But so are SWAT teams. Think about it. SWAT teams are, first off, unconstitutional. And there's a lot of things we do as Americans and put up with that are unconstitutional. But even beyond that, the Constitution is just a document. Swatting it goes against your basic rights as an individual manifested being on this planet, which is way more important than any document that might ever be written, ever. Because those things are the inalienable rights that Thomas Jefferson was so eloquently writing about when he spoke to why Americans were deciding to revolt and declare their independence in the Declaration of Independence. Now, these are really the foundation of everything and the whole reason why you'd even ever want to be a human being, because if you can't be free, you are not going to be able to experience what it is to even be a human being. And SWAT teams existing are a big problem for the experience of being a free human being. You see, first off, they're funded off your back. We all pay about 25% or more of our work power, our sustenance power, to fund this thing called government that creates things called SWAT teams that can come after you if some lunatic decides, hey, I'm going to have some fun with this guy. I'm going to sick these dogs on him, and I do mean dogs. And a lot of people take offense to that. Me referring to law enforcement as dogs. But this is just what the dark occultists call them. That's what the whole thing's set up for them to be. Did you know that a lot of times police officers are not allowed to have a higher IQ than pretty much the average IQ? And if your IQ is too high and you want to become a police officer, you will be denied. And they say it's because people get bored that have too high of IQs, and they end up, wasting resources because they train these people and then they drop out. Whereas, if somebody more of an average IQ, they'll stick around longer and you won't waste the resources. But I don't know if I buy that. And even if that is the case, that doesn't mean it's the best way to go about it, right? Think about it. Think about it a little bit. But let's get back to these SWAT teams and what they are and what they do. But before we do, let's look at the Fourth Amendment, okay? So let's go ahead and pull up the Fourth Amendment. All right. You know what? I am going to do this a different way here. I am going to pull up my... I downloaded this file. I was just on Pinterest But instead, I am going to, dang it, I'm going to pull up the actual picture I downloaded. There we go. Put it on the screen and read it, right? So we got the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath, oath with a big O, or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Okay, now I went on this channel last night. When I got off, I expected something to be said, and something was said, and this was read. Okay, and then people were proceeding to kind of declare why my bringing this amendment up is basically a blatant example of how SWAT teams, their mere existence, violates our Fourth Amendment. And I'm 100% right about this, and I'm going to break it down because it didn't seem like people understood. Some of them did, but they kind of glossed it over with this. They said, well, when that 911 call goes in, that is probable cause, right? That SWAT call. But it's not. It's not. 911 hasn't existed forever, first off. Neither have SWAT teams. Second off, when you get a 911 call, we have police officers and the whole thing. I'm not even going to get into whether or not that should be, but let's think about it. We weren't supposed to have a standing army in this country, and our local police forces, and even beyond that, state, federal, it's kind of like a standing army that kind of has free reign over the citizens. That's a funny word, citizen. But what I really want to say about this is, I'm going to break it down, because I want to say it's not probable cause for a 911 call to come in and to be a legit reason to deploy a SWAT team, okay? Because what ends up happening, and it happens a lot, that's why the term swatting exists, is you get people that call in and make stuff up. And that's why this thing exists. So I'm going to break it down and tell you why, if we actually followed this, swatting would never happen, okay? It would never happen. But we don't. We wipe our butts with it, okay? And it exists for a reason, because the founders were trying to find a way to set up a society that would be able to adhere to natural law. So I guess they figured if they enshrined it in this document that we wouldn't end up wiping our butts with it, or we'd have a much better chance of not doing so. But obviously, little over 200 years later, we are. So let's go ahead and get into this. All right. The right of the people. That's us, right? That's not anyone but us. To be secure in their persons. What does that mean, to be secure in your person? Well, that's what I was talking about. You are the ruler of you. You are the one who is secure in being you. Nobody else has any say in anything you do beyond stealing life, stealing innocence, all those things I went through earlier. Beyond that, you are you, and you are secure in your person. It's a right, okay? So it says that right there at the very beginning of this. And it adds some things, some things that everybody has, their houses, that goes to be secure in your house. And that's what swatting kind of really comes down to, because none of us are secure in our house when anybody can pick up a phone and creatively get a SWAT team at our doorstep. It's just, there's no way getting around it. We no longer have the Fourth Amendment. We no longer have the Second Amendment either. But I'm not going to go there right now. So, papers, all right? What's that? Well, that is basically, people can't just come and look into your personal paperwork. That's kind of like your Social Security, and that's kind of a joke, but your driver's license, that's kind of a joke too, or your birth certificate, or whatever, your papers, right? Anything that you use for your personal documentation that you want to keep private. And effects. So your effects is just really anything you got, anything that's yours, your car, your basically when you're walking down the street, your pockets, things like that. That's your effects. Okay? Against unreasonable searches and seizures. Now let's think about that. It's very clear, unreasonable searches and seizures. And that's kind of another place people can get tripped up, because they're like, well, it's not unreasonable to search and seize when there's, a threat that comes in, a call that comes in, and it's dire importance, and you have to act fast, and yada, 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 all these things, right? Then all of a sudden it becomes reasonable, because, not because it's reasonable, but because there's this pressure put on it that you have to act fast, basically, right? But maybe we just need to slow down. If we slowed down a little and thought about things and really looked at where we're at with things like the Patriot Act that happened just a couple months after 9/11, where basically we are now spied upon by our government, monitored. Everything we say is recorded and in some database somewhere and parsed, and anything that sticks out, they come in and they can look at you as much as they want. So none of us are secure in our papers and effects anymore. We haven't been for quite a while, but Patriot Act makes it 100 times easier for them to violate us in that regard. So it says unreasonable searches and seizures. All right. So a lot of people would be like, well, swatting, what's that have to do with searching and seizing, right? What are you searching? What are you seizing? Well, you are searching. I mean, that's obvious. You're searching for whatever it is the people were sent there to do. Some maniac that's got a gun that's going to kill his family, whatever it is. You're searching for that situation. You're going in there to seize an individual, or whatever, drugs, it's whatever it is. There's a lot of searching and seizuring going on, all right? So the only reasonable, it goes on to explain how, and it says it shall not be violated. That's not it, unless it's, in dire need and has to be done real fast. No, it says shall not be violated. And it says that you can't issue warrants but upon probable cause. So that's where this all hinges. Probable cause, right? What is probable cause? It sure ain't somebody anonymously, or even, mostly anonymously, because if they gave their name, they wouldn't be able to SWAT, would they? Because then the authorities would come back. Let me hit that off, hopefully. All right. The authorities would be able to come back and say, hey, you gave a false story that ended up causing a lot of problems. You're in big trouble, right? So it's the anonymous thing. They get their panties in a bunch. That doesn't seem like probable cause. Some anonymous person comes up and says something, right? That causes you to deploy a SWAT team? Come on now. And those warrants, they're supposed to be supported by oath or affirmation. You know, what is that? Means the people that are issuing the warrants, they take some kind of oath. Well, what is this oath, right? Well, it's to uphold the Constitution. And a SWAT team's existence doesn't even do that, right? Not unless there is a warrant. But these people that are getting swatted, there's no warrant. There are SWAT teams that are deployed with a warrant, right? But it's when you bypass that oath and, you know, you bypass the oath and you just go right to the swatting that you have a problem, okay? And it's supposed to describe exactly where and what. So people should know a little bit more about the whole situation before they go in there guns a-blazing. And the fact that we don't just kind of shows what's really going on. So I don't think I really need to break it down further than that. And I think this is a good place to stop because I didn't want to be on here forever. I just kind of want to get on here and make this video about swatting and if it's wrong. Yeah, it is. But should it happen at all? Ever? No, because SWAT teams should not exist. Even according to our own document for our own country, they shouldn't exist. So I'm going to go ahead and get off here now. Let me get back in here to my camera. You know, I appreciate anybody that came in. Please leave a comment. Please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you can come in here and have some conversations with me about this stuff I'm going to be talking about, because I really do want to engage people. And, you know, because if we don't talk about this stuff and we just act like what's going on is cool when it's not at all, and it's keeping us from being free, why have children? You're just going to birth them into a slave state. Think about that. All right. There's some good reasons that you, instead of choosing security, you choose freedom. All right. And the security is an illusion anyways. It really is, because things like swatting could happen to you. How secure are you then? You know, yeah, maybe you'll handle it right and get out of it, but you might come away from it with some trauma. Very possible. So how secure are you really? I'm going to be talking about anarchy. I'm going to be talking about why it's the only solution and how it can be the solution and what we have to do in order for it to work. Because, you know, we can evolve past this government thing, this religion thing, because that's what it is. It's a religion. It's a false belief. It's not backed by science. And it's straight up evil. And it's slavery. So, government slavery. Check out Mark Passio's page. It's What on Earth is Happening. Learn about anarchy and natural law. I'm calling it natural law anarchy now. All right, so it's not just plain anarchy, because that wouldn't be as much fun. Not only that, it's really kind of a term that people don't really agree on. So let's get on the same page with what I'm talking about, and it's natural law anarchy. All right, you guys, it's been awesome hanging out with you. Have a good evening.